Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. This is the tier 1 of the Equal Performance, the top tier for Equal Performance in Invictus. And we are here for the start of Season 17 here at Monza for round number 1. We should hopefully have a full house of drivers in as well, just to kick off the season in as good a style as we can. And my name is JPH_99. Joining me as technically my new tier 1 partner, but he was with me for tier 2 last season, Bruce Lee Harding. Good evening.
Good evening, JPH. Good evening, everyone. Looking forward to this. A bit of an upgrade for myself up to tier 1 this year. It should be good. There's some new names, some people who've come up from tier 2, and some of the usual suspects from last season's tier 1. So, and obviously the added interest of there being no returning champion as it stands from last season. So, a new champion on the cards for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you say about champions, Ghost and Reshka back to defend their title, this time in the AlphaTauri. They've won it in an Alpine, they've won it in a McLaren. So they've won it with a Renault engine, won it with a Mercedes engine. Now they're going to go for a Honda/Red Bull powertrain engine for this season.
Yeah, it's almost the engine triple crown, really, isn't it? They're going for it's interesting to see them change. Obviously, with it being equal performance, it doesn't make any difference to the performance of the car. But a nice change of scenery for them, that's for sure. But they'll be looking to kickstart their championship and their defence of their manufacturers as best as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we carry on, honestly, Invictus Racing League this season, in partnership with gridfinder.com, one of the best places to find a league that kind of suits what you're looking for. So hopefully that's IRL if it's F1, because it is a fantastic league to be in. And also Venturi Graphics, who are providing our thumbnails and all sorts of other graphics this season. A fantastic place to get any sort of logos, banners, anything for like your YouTube or Twitter, or anything of that nature, graphic-wise. Those are, or even liveries. I know they do liveries as well. So anything of that nature, do make sure you go check them out and get involved there. But looking forward to tonight, Bruce. Monza. It's very, very fast. Obviously, chicanes in there. I mean, the natural thought pattern of Monza is a natural recipe for a little bit of carnage, but ultimately some very close and tight racing.
Yeah, definitely. It's as you say, with the long high-speed straights and the long high-speed straights. Long high-speed straights and the heavy braking zones. It can catch people out. Just missing those braking points slightly, and because it's such slow corners at the end of the braking zones, it's quite easy to tip the car around in front of you. So yeah, it's massively about keeping it as clean as you possibly can. We've seen all this week that the people that have done well in the races are the ones that have stayed well away from trouble throughout the night. So yeah, I think that'll be the recipe for the results tonight, is just to try and keep yourself out of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the stream, welcome all. And thank you for joining us tonight for Tier 1, this opening round. We got Atsu Owen, official Xerox, unfortunately ARL, who would be racing tonight, but unfortunately he's away. His teammate Ashtube will go through the teams very shortly. And I've just seen Schizo Free, which you will formerly known as Tirak, I believe, all in the chat. And I think we're just now waiting for the last few people to come into the lobby, and we'll be away for Season 17. I mean, we've had 3, I think, very different styles of races this week, if I'm not mistaken. It's Tier 4 was quite calm in reality compared to like Tier 3, and Tier 2 was sort of like an in-between, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, as you say, Tier 4 and Tier 3 both running Monday night. They were very much chalk and cheese. The Tier 4 was quite calm. No safety cars at all during the entire race. A few incidents, but nothing massive. And then, Tier 3 on the other hand, there was many safety cars. Tier 2 a bit calmer again, but Yeah, it's like I say, it's so easy to get involved in carnage around here, especially with a bigger grid as well. So that's going to be the danger, I think, with so many cars in such a small area going into that turn one. Yeah, who knows? It could be carnage, but these guys are the top guys in IRL. So the top of the pyramid, I'm expecting them to show us how it's all done.
Absolutely. Speaking of teams and such, let's go through the lineup for this season in Tier 1. In the Red Bulls, we do have ARL and Ashtu, obviously ARL not present tonight. In the Ferraris, we have Stinos and Jeremy Clarkson. Stinos, unfortunately, not able to be with us tonight either. In the Mercedes camp, we have Ricky Maru and Henrik Anderson. For Alpine, we have Blester and Pampoen. McLaren, we have Cameron Searle and Owen. Now, it must be noted, Owen has come up. He was Tier 2 on last season on F1 22, did dip his toe into Tier 1 at the end of the season. He is now Tier 1 this season, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Hopefully, he gets on quite well. I mean, we know Owen is a quick driver. In the Alfa Romeo, we have Stefan Ranz and Victor. Aston Martin, we have Emir Durakovic and Merckx, and I think most people would say they are a pretty strong team to look out for. Both of them very quick drivers. Schizo Free and SFR Martin make up the Haas team, whilst the reigning and defending Constructors Champions Ghost and Reshka take the AlphaTauri. Weirdly enough, they've actually swapped with Cameron Searle, who was in the AlphaTauri team last time. And finally, in the Williams, we have MDJ and Ferbey. They round out the grid for this season's lineup. But as I say, Bruce, the Aston Martins, I mean, you'd have to feel probably one of the stronger pairings of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Merckx and Emir both have had strong races last season. Obviously, with it being a new game, now you never really know exactly how it's going to pan out until the first race happens. But there's plenty of guys in this grid. There's some unknowns that we haven't really seen at IRL before. We don't know what they're going to do tonight. So yeah, there's plenty of people. There's at least, from people that we're aware of, there's at least 8-9 potential race winners in this grid. And then, as I say, the guys we don't really know much about, they could get in the mix as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to say, obviously, new handling model once again this year. Because obviously F1 22 was a handling shift. We've had another handling shift into 23, where the cars are a little bit more bolted to the ground. They're a little bit more predictable. You can save them that little bit more easy. And I think you'll agree we've seen a lot more of the drivers going from having medium traction control, which now every league in the Eco Performance can have. Obviously, last season Tier 1 was strictly no assists. This season it's now back in line with all the other Eco Performance, but we're seeing a lot more people going without traction control this season because the traction is that much better on this year's game.
Yeah, as you say, I think with that slight change, I wouldn't say it's a massive change with the traction control bit. It's enough, I think, to have enticed a few people to go without the TC. Obviously, last season with this league was no assists at all, so they wouldn't have had much choice last season. This season, I think, as you say, most people have switched to no TC anyway. They're giving it a go, which is great to see. Really, it's always good to give it a go and see how you get on. And I think if you can master it, it does shave a few tenths off your lap times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of lap times, I went back through my little archive of seasons 15 and 16, and on season 16, Nick Jewston set pole position with a 1:19.246, and the fastest lap in the race with a 1:21.357. So it'll be interesting to see if we can surpass those times with this year's game. Yeah,
records there to be broken, and yeah, as you say, it's something to aim at. Obviously, beating best lap times is great and all that, but I think the points are going to be what the guys are after. So I don't think they'll mind if they don't quite get that fastest lap. But yeah, it's targets are good to aim for, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And To be honest, we do apologise. A slight delay as we just await a couple of drivers to get into the lobby. I think we're about to get going then for the first qualifying session of the season. The question is, I think all the races we've had so far have been dry. All the sessions have been dry, if I remember correctly. I'm not quite sure on T2. Bruce, you can probably tell me that one, but let's see if the weather stays fair for Tier 1.
Yeah, the race in T2 was dry, but they had a wet qualifying session. It looked very tricky. It didn't look like there was a lot of grip out there, to be honest. So yeah, a wet race would definitely spice things up. But yeah, as we head into qualifying now, who are you expecting to see at the front?
I mean, you kind of think, if you're thinking back from last season, you're looking at the likes of Cameron Searle, Emir, Merkt, Ghost will probably be up there. But I think we could see some newer names in terms of, I think Owen will probably be nearer the front, possibly Ash Tube. I know Ash Tube is ARL's friend, so I think we have a little bit of information that he is quite quick. But, I mean, to be honest, it's hard to tell with a new game. So there's only really one way to find out.
Yeah, I think that is a definition of very much sitting on the fence. That one, though, I think. But
absolutely,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. As you say, new game. It's it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes.
We do have a dry qualifying. I will say to everyone listening into the stream, do let me know if the audio balance is okay between mine and Bruce's voices and the action on track. F1 games, especially on the PlayStation, notoriously interesting to try and get the balance right. So hopefully it'll be okay. But do let us know if either side's a little bit quiet compared to the other. But normally I'd be saying there goes ARL out of the pits first, like normal. But obviously he's not here tonight. So the question is, that looks like a McLaren is about to go and enter the track. So whilst we wait for them to get out.
Does look like the engineer there letting them out the pits is a bit slow at realising they've already gone past him, but that's okay.
So Ricky Maru out on track. Owen, the first man on circuit then, as he heads through the first chicane. I'm going to say probably the cars are probably a little bit too quiet, so I'll quickly adjust that on my end. So hopefully that.
It'd be interesting to see how these guys now approach this outlap. Obviously, you don't want to waste your tyres too soon. I don't know if you mentioned it, but Ricky Maru has gone out on medium tyres.
I hadn't actually yet. And I think Ash Tube as well in the Red Bull. Looking at the graphic I've got now on screen, he is also on the mediums, and I'm not really sure why you'd want to go out on the medium, because I always feel you kind of want two sets of mediums for your race.
Yeah, they're definitely. I don't think we're quite at the sim realism of installation laps or anything like that just yet to scrub your set of tyres for a race, but so I don't think they're doing that. But it could just be maybe they haven't had the practice they feel they need just yet, so they're just thinking rather than go for a flying lap, we'll just get a bit of practice for a few laps and then come back into the softs after. But yeah, Owen on this flying lap.
Yeah, so Owen goes across the start finish line, DRS wide open, near 220 miles an hour as you hit the brakes just before the 100-metre board into the first chicane. Get it nicely tucked in, get it as straight as you can, then get the throttle on. Nice and gentle with the gears, make sure you keep the traction. Curva Grande, turn 3, absolutely pinned, keep it as tight as you can to the inside to minimise the length of the track you go. Down to the Della Roja chicane, 100-metre board, down to third gear, clip the left-hand curve, clip the right-hand one, use a little bit on the exit but not too much as you now head towards Lesmo 1. A long corner with a slightly later apex than you think. And that then brings you into Lesmo 2. You can hit the curb a little bit. Owen decides not to, but it can. This is game 4 out wide. DRS as you head down through the second of the DRS zones under the old banking and up towards Ascari. A phenomenal corner, 100 metres at the braking, down to 5th. Clip the left, clip the right, keep the throttle on as you can. You can spin if you're not careful. Blester is out, that's at the exit of Lesmo 2. Probably just a spin off the curb. As we head down towards Parabolica on this flying lap for Owen. Be about 50 metres for the braking zone down to 5th, and then bring the throttle in as you open the steering. Bring it back to the right hand side to, again, shorten the run to the line. Across the line for Owen is a 1:19.424 first up, which I think is a pretty good marker to begin with.
Yeah, both Rick and Maru and Ashchi were down on his time. Ghost currently a few tenths up though. I think he's just gone purple in the second sector as well. So Ghost, I think he maybe have about half a second up after sector 2. So looking like this could be the standard about to be set here.
Ash Tube goes third on his medium tyres. Here comes Ghost, as you say, up to the line. It's a 1:18.9, so he smashes the pole record set by Nick Jewston from last season on F1 22, which is a good sight to see. MDJ just coming up to the line as well. I think there's a Haas on his way. I think it's on outlap though. MDJ goes 4th quickest for now. As we continue on with this qualifying session.
Interesting times for Rick and Maru as well, because obviously being on the slower tyre, but you think, okay, go and bolt some softs on, it's going to be a lot faster, but we have spotted around this circuit that there's not actually a huge difference between the performance of the different compounds at this circuit.
No, Stefan Rands puts it second on the grid in 1:19.197. Henrik goes 4th. Yeah, I agree with you, although I think a lot about this game is also when you're obviously on that flying lap, you've got your hot lap mode for your ERS. And obviously using the DRS, you're very light on fuel, so I think it depends what Ricky Maru has done there, whether he's used the hot lap ERS or not, because that around this circuit contributes quite a lot of time.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting once he comes out and bolts those softs on and as a proper guy. Ricky Maru last season, I believe, was floating. He was a tier 2 driver, but joined tier 1, I believe, occasionally. So we know he's got the speed to be near the front as well, and he did have some good races last year in T1. So yeah, once he gets those softs on, it'd be interesting to see what he can do.
Yeah, he kind of was initially like a T2 and then became kind of T1 and T2 reserve in the end. Kind of a bit of a mix. Jeremy Clarkson just going through a Scari, or has a big twitch through the second part of it. Well held, obviously. If that was F1 22, he'd have been in the barriers, I very much suspect. Into Parabolica for the Ferrari. That twitch would have cost him time, and twitches nowadays cost you more time on this game because of how planted the cars are. 5th place for now for the Ferrari. Again, another driver to look out for, Jeremy. He was quick last season, but the Aston Martins are out and about. They haven't actually set a time yet.
Cam Searle is currently facing the wrong way at the second chicane, so he's just turned around now to head towards the Lesmos, but that's that lap ruin for him, so a bit of a shame for Cameron there. He's going to have to come in the pits, get some new softs on another go, but yeah, Schizo 3 also there, managing to get up to 4th on the grid so far, which is a good effort.
Yeah, as Mercked just coming down to Parabolica for his first attempt.
I think his second sector time was very comparable with Ghost. Very, very close.
He was quick last season. Is he going to continue that trend into this season? The answer is yes, as he puts it on pole position by 0.067 of a second.
So Ricky now coming out on the soft tyres for his lap. He's only just at the second chicane, so quite some time before he gets going now.
What's Cameron going to do here? He's going to carry on here, and he's going to start a lap. He's going to start another lap. So obviously that lap time he spun. Let's go on board with the McLaren. Cameron was one of the title contenders for a lot of the season last season. Had a bit of technical difficulties during it, which kind of scuppered his chances of T1 glory. But he's definitely hoping that this season is going to be his season as he comes through Curva Grande. No time on the board by that 151. Don't know yet. I mean, Bruce, what are you looking for coming up towards Lesmes? You've gone wide, which isn't helpful, but down through Lesmes, what are you looking for through these corners?
Pace, I guess, and to keep it on the black stuff. Yeah, they're easy corners to miss the apex, really, and it costs you time, especially out the second Lesme. You just hemorrhage time down the straight. Yeah, Cam here, he's 1 second down at the second split on Merc and Ghost at the moment, so, and another big twitch there through Ascari, so yeah, the Lesmes are quite critical to a good lap, really. Just gotta hook it up and get on the throttle nice and early, or as early as you can. But yeah, Cam's gonna come across the line. I think he'll be lucky to put it top 8 here, to be honest.
Lucky to be top 8, lucky to be even top 10 by that time. 120.4, 12th place for Cameron. And he's gonna have to come in. I can't quite tell how much time's left in the session because it's been covered by a yellow flag. It looks like someone just creating space for himself in Parabolica. 8 minutes 23 on the clock, so he's got enough time to get around, get some new tyres, and go again. Henrik Anderson. He's on a lap. Who is going to be the next across the line now? Lesmo 2 for Owen. Ghost just going through turn number 1. I think Emir might be on a lap.
Ricky Morris just come through Ascari now. He's about 6/10, I think it was, down on Merc and Ghost. So you could still possibly push top 5 here. It's going to be tight, but obviously that's the improvement he'll be looking for after switching to those soft tyres.
Cross the line for Ricky Maru is a 119.8. Possibly not quite the gains he was hoping for.
Yeah, a few tenths drop there to the top 2 in that last sector as well, which is quite a lot considering it's only Ascari and Parabolica. But obviously Merc and Ghost have got that nailed on their laps, and that's why they're a little bit further ahead of everyone.
Owen up to P3. We knew Owen had pace, and he's looking like a serious contender for this season, as Ashtube puts it 12th on the grid for now. I think maybe Bjorn Boer just coming up to finish his latest lap. Bjorn is a reserve for this season, so he's stepping in. So reserves do not score for the team they're driving for, they only score for themselves. He just peels into the pits for a new set of tyres. But it's always worthy noting the fact that reserves do not score team points. So whilst he's driving for Ferrari, he's not really driving for Ferrari. Yeah,
absolutely. The one advantage of being a reserve, obviously it's not good for the guy who's in the same team as you in game, but by turning up as a reserve week in, week out, once a space does become available, obviously you'll be offered that seat. So it's good to still get involved even if you're not scoring team points. And yeah, like I said, a racing's normally great anyway, so it's a great way to spend your evening.
Absolutely. MDJ's put his Williams up into 6th for now. I think Henrik Anderson, we're seeing at the moment, is 5th. I believe Reshka is possibly on a lap. Oh, he's had a big moment out of Ascari. He spun it around. He's not hit a wall. He's going to have to wait for the Haas to go past, and now he can spin it back around. But lucky for Reshka there, because he's lost it kind of on the flick left, almost like he's taken a bit too much curb through the final left of it, and he's just run a bit wide into the gravel, and the car goes round. So Reshka lives to tell that story to someone else in the pits, as Martin comes up to Parabolica for his latest attempt.
Yeah, I had a very similar spin to that whilst practicing, actually, funny enough, at Ascari, and yeah, it's just too much curb, and you can try and save it as best you can and try and keep it out of the wall. I'd like to say skill that keeps it out of the wall, but you'll have to ask Reshka that as to whether or not that was skill or just pure luck.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's a brown trouser moment through Ascari, because it's so easy to take a wheel off if you hit the wall. Jeremy Clarkson, I'm not quite sure if he's on. I think he's abandoned his lap. He's not using any ERS from what I can tell, so
He was 1 second down at the second sector, so on his best time. So I think that's been well and truly abandoned as he hits the pits.
Now, one man who does have a bit of pressure on him is the Aston Martin of Emir Djurkovic. He's not yet set a time. He's going to get possibly. I mean, if he goes consecutive laps, he's going to have 2 possible laps available to him, as long as he's got the fuel. But this isn't normally a position as a driver you want to be. You normally want to get yourself at least 1 bank lap, even if it isn't an amazing time, just to give yourself something.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if this is commentator's curse, because obviously we were saying how strong the Astons were going to be, but at the moment there's a 14-car Aston Martin sandwich going on right at the moment, and that's definitely not what we'd have been expecting coming into this qualifying session. So yeah, a bit of pressure for him, and also for Cameron, who he knows where he should be on this grid, and he really needs to start pulling some out of the bag. Again, he's got time for a flying lap, and also a recharge lap if he needs to, if the first attempt doesn't go quite right. But to keep up with Merckx and Ghost, you're going to need to do it on your first run, because I think the tyre wear is going to be too much to get near the front on your second run. Yeah,
I've also just seen that there's a weather report, dry race, so good weather for Tier 1. So we're across his line to start his latest attempt. And Joe Hamster pointing out that Reshka avoided Whiffin's wall, because the outside wall on the final flick left through Ascari is unfortunately where our dear old friend Darryl ripped off his front right wheel and ended his Tier 3 race a couple of nights ago. So he's added another franchise to his Whiffin's wall.
Darryl very much reinvented the triple jump with a hop, skip, and a thump through Ascari, unfortunately. So, yeah, it was a very strange incident, marginally comical, but there we go. Anyway, enough about that.
I did hear that he thought he was still playing Dirt Rally 2 at the time. So, but back to Emir as he comes through Ascari now. There's no sector time, at least any sort of like delta times for him, because he hasn't yet set a time, so it's hard to tell just how fast he's going. As he comes into Parabolica, looks like this will be his one and only lap. Touch a curb on the outside, up to the line. It's going to be pole position, provisionally a 1:18.815 for Emir. He had the pressure and he's pulled it out thus far, but his teammate is on a lap, but he's not going quicker through Sector 1. Sector 2, he's just a little bit shy of his first time. So this could be quite close between Merckx. I'm not quite sure. I think Ghost is on an out lap at the moment. Owen on a lap. I don't know if you want to keep an eye on him there, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm currently on board with Owen at the moment. He's improving on his lap time, and I think he could be in with a shout of getting Ghost on this lap. A nice little slipstream of his teammate there down towards Parabolica as well. So, it's going to be very close for third place with Ghost.
Merckx takes provisional pole position off his teammate at 1:18.811. That looked a bit wide from Owen going through Parabolica.
Yeah, just ran wide, got on the slightly raised AstroTurf on the outside, and it just didn't want to know. It nearly snapped out on him, but only he's pushing on now into the first corner. But I should have thought he's probably nearly out of ERS, and he's pulled over to the side.
Yeah,
so that's Owen done.
He was giving Cameron a nice little tow there up towards turn 1. So Cameron getting a bit of teammate assistance. Good to see teamwork, because it's not always the case in F1 leagues that you see teamwork between teammates. I think that's in the pits for Schizo3. Okay. Ashtube starting
Cameron. At the moment, the Sector 2 time from Merckx initially was a 52.5, so that's the sort of ballpark Cameron wants to be aiming for. As we come up to that sector now, he's 4 temps down on Merckx at the second sector.
Not what he's looking for. As Stefan goes up into fourth place, with a time of 1:19.040. Merckx just coming up to the pits now. Question is, what is Cameron up to? up to the line for McLaren. And again, he's had to pull one out of the bag. He puts it 8th for now.
Jeremy Clarkson. He's there, but he's there or thereabouts. He's very, very close.
4th for the Ferrari, just into the 118s. Got Henrik on a lap. I think Ricky Maru coming up to the line. He puts himself 9th. That's a bit more like it from Ricky Maru. We know he's got pace. And there is a small showing of it. Ash Tube up to the line. So 1:19.3 is 9th place for the Red Bull. So times are tumbling.
MDJ just invalidated, I think, through Ascari, and Martin also had a big moment there as well through Ascari, and he ran wide and got invalidated as well. So Martin was improving by a little bit of time, would have moved up a little bit, but a bit of a disaster. I don't think there's many more left out there, is there?
I think that's the end, because Martin's obviously invalidated. Beyond de Boer is not on a lap, nor is Stefan Rands isn't on one either, so that is it. It is an Alpha Aston Martin front row lockout then, between Merckx and Emir Djurikovic, just 5 thousandths of a second separating the teammates, with Ghost 3rd, Jeremy Clarkson 4th, Stefan Rands 5th, and Owen 6th. Good to see Owen first in this first race. It's good to see him up near the top. Obviously, it has to be said, a bit of a surprise that Cameron Searle was down in 11th. And I think MDJ you'd kind of expect a little bit higher than that, but looking at the whole grid is obviously can't really count Blester because we don't know what time he'd have set, but the 15 cars that qualified, less than 9/10 covers the grid.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible how close it is. As you say, you would never expect to see Cameron down 11th, but it's only half a second off pole position. It's unusual. We've had tight grids all this week, but I think that has to be the tightest grid of the lot. I don't think there's been a closer one.
No, absolutely not. Would you like to take us through the grid for the Italian Grand Prix?
Absolutely, yeah. So taking pole position for the first round of this season is Merckx in the Aston with teammate Emir Djurikovic right next to him. Ghost in 3rd with Jeremy Clarkson in 4th. Stefan Rands 5th with Owen. A great showing there. A great showing from Owen in 6th. Henrik Anderson 7th with Bjorn de Boer in 8th. Ash Tube 9th with Ricky Maru in 10th. Cam Searle 11th, looking to improve in the race with MDJ 12th. Schizo 3 and Reska 13th and 14th, with SFR Martin 15th and Blesser unfortunately crashing out with Lesmo 2, not setting a lap time, bringing up the rear of the field.
So 27 laps dawn upon the drivers. The first of 15 150 kilometre races ahead of them this season. And that's not even including the 3 sprint races we have this season. Just now, everyone now on picking their strategies. Now, strategy crucial really for F1, and I think we're going to get a very big mix this season, the way the tyre model is, between medium, like soft to medium, and medium to hards.
Yeah, we've seen quite a strange mix this week. Some people, as you say, going soft to hard, some people going soft medium, some people medium hards. It's been a little bit bizarre. No one's tried the soft to wets just yet. I don't think we're going to see that tonight, but it's strategy is very, very important. The times are very close depending on what strategy you take. So I think people who can maybe look after the soft tyres a bit better might try the softs at the start of the race, and potentially hope for an early safety car so they can make use of that.
Absolutely, and it's nice to see this on this year's game, the mechanics not having to stand to attention outside their garages. That's always good to see. Well, it's not ideal that it looks like the Red Bull and the Alpine team don't seem to have any spare wings available, so they're going to have to be careful during the race.
Yeah, I think the mechanics will be delighted now, especially if it's a rain-affected race. It didn't look the most pleasant experience of the race weekend for them, but it could be very interesting. There's been some surprises there, I think, in qualifying, but here we go.
Yeah, no formation lap, so we have the 5 red lights, and we are racing at the Italian Grand Prix. The question is, who's got the best getaway? It looks like Merckx has got away cleanly enough to get to the inside and defend from his teammate up towards the first chicane. We'll get to tyres very shortly. Side by side into the first chicane. Are we going to get through cleanly? That's the question. The answer is it looks like we are. A fantastic start from everyone. But Merckx has gone backwards. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. Jeremy Clark's down the inside. This is for second place. The Ferrari takes second. Merckx down. I don't know whether Bruce might have seen something. We'll check with him in a minute as we head into the Della Roggia chicane. Blester up into 14th. And it looks like pretty clean bit of side-by-side between Martin and Reshka. Looks like Martin's going to either keep or take 12th. Reshka under attack from Blester, but just manages to keep it. And we got a spinner. That's Henrik Anderson at Lesmo 1. But it looks like, and we got a bit of front wing damage. That looks like the front wing of Merckx. I think that's an end plate from the Aston Martin. He's now side-by-side with Ghost up towards Ascari. And Ghost claims, keeps that third place for now. But how much is that wing damage going to affect the Aston Martin? And Bruce, any noteworthy things from you?
No, just really clean there at the start. I didn't quite catch what happened there with obviously Cameron dropping back down to the back of the field, and obviously just caught the back end of Henrik's moment. But really respectful through turn 1 and 2, and no real dramas. It all just sort of seemed to happen on the run down to the second chicane.
As Tube gets past Owen, meanwhile, we're looking at potentially 3 wide. Oh, big moment for that's Blester as he looks for a gap that was never really open, and Cameron still takes advantage of that down the inside of turn 1, whilst Reshka and MDJ still battling side by side through Curva Grande. And the racing doesn't stop. Reshka trying to close the door, but Cameron's still there. He was looking to get in behind MDJ, take the slipstream, but he couldn't quite get there, and now he's looking to go down the inside of the Della Roggia chicane. I don't know if there was a bit of contact, but MDJ's had to go straight on at the Della Roggia. And that's going to be a couple of positions lost for him. Blester looking to the inside of Cameron. That's going to be tight through Lesmo 1. Space given. And Blester, still awkward, but Cameron still just about hangs on to that position. And we're not going to get much of a chance to breathe. But looking at the tyres, Ricky Maru, the only one on softs, Schizo and Henrik on hards, the rest of the field on mediums.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, that into turn 1 there, Cameron still didn't need a second invitation to go for that gap at all. But Blester coming back in really well there. And some really hard close racing, a couple of touch moments. And that's Ricky Maru's just spun it. It looked like he just locked the rears coming into Parabolica, and that's now, and he's going around again.
Merckx in the pits as well. That's big news for the Aston Martins. That's not what you need round Monza, is an early pit stop.
Yeah, he's going for the medium, so obviously he's not going to get to the end of the race on the medium. He's going to have to pit again, so yeah, disaster for Merckx. As we said, this race is all about keeping out of trouble. And there's going to be a long road back now for Merckx from this position.
Meanwhile, at the front, it's just about 0.3 of a second between Emma Jurakovic, Jeremy Clarkson. These two were teammates in the Aston Martin camp last season. So they know each other well. They know how each other races. So this can make for a very interesting fight as they head towards Ascari chicane. And it looks like, judging by the gaps, we can kind of breathe a little bit now. Owen quite close behind Astute going into Ascari, but not quite there. Obviously, DRS is obviously active now, so expect a few more overtakes to be happening into Ascari and into turn 1.
Yeah, definitely. I was a bit surprised. Merckx obviously did a lap on that damaged front wing, and I thought that maybe he might try and continue on to his normal pit stop time, because he wasn't really being caught. But Jeremy Clarkson past Emmett.
Yeah, DRS assisted, and Owen going past Ashtube once again. DRS assistance, very helpful. Blester to the inside of Reshka, and Cameron Searle will be next on that list. Although it looks like Emir's got back past Jeremy coming out of turn 2 and down through Curva Grande. So the Aston Martin back in the lead.
Yeah, it's all chopping and changing. The slipstream's so important around here. But yeah, Owen's having a great race. God bless him. He's having a fantastic one at the moment, up to 5th. Out of the DRS zone now, though, of Stefan Rands, so he's going to be under attack now, I think, down this next straight down to a one.
Yeah, so Jeremy Clarkson not quite close enough to make a move stick on Emir. I mean, it is harder to get a move to stick going down into Ascari. Obviously, definitely a shorter DRS zone. But we'll go on board with Jeremy Clarkson because this is for the lead. Lap 4. Now, there's a couple ways you can go if you're Jeremy Clarkson. You either fight with Emir, which it looks like we're going to do, or you try and work with him to get away. But in this case, Jeremy Clarkson just instantly goes for the move. Looks like Schizo Free getting past SFR Martin with some DRS as well. And Reshka getting past Blester.
Rikimaru's spun coming out of Ascari. Out of Ascari there. No damage. He's managed to avoid the walls there, but he got murked right on his tail now. So, it's not gone well for Rikimaru. This, unfortunately, as it. One of the features last year was he did make a few mistakes here and there, unfortunately, but he got the pace, but just needs to try and iron out these mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Mistakes do cost you in F1, and the more mistakes you make, obviously, the more tyre wear you actually put through your tyres, and those softs are probably not going to be very good. And as he gets overtaken by Merckx, Jeremy Clarkson still stuck behind, still just in front of the Aston Martin, but this time it's going to be slightly different as Blester gets back past Cameron Searle. That's through Ascari. And Owen is closing in on Stefan, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say that. He's doing a great job of holding off the guys behind, and as you say, at the moment he's also catching Stefan Ranz as well. So he's only a few attempts out of Stefan Ranz's DRS zone, and then that will give him an extra defensive tool against the two guys behind him.
A bit of a fight between MDJ Blester and Cameron Searle. Cameron Searle had a slight disadvantage because he doesn't have any DRS. MDJ getting up 2 places into 11th. So that's good stuff from the Williams. He's just a place outside now of the points paying positions. For those of you who might be new here to IRL, the points are not your usual F1 points. It's 15 points for a victory, 12 for second, then goes down 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. And if you finish in the top 10 and take fastest lap, you do also take a bonus point. Back at the front, and Jeremy Clarkson just 3.5 tenths behind as he uses the DRS to close up. And you get the feeling that they're actually pulling away from Ghost, because Ghost doesn't have any DRS, nor does he have kind of what I'm going to call like a slingshot buddy, where you can slingshot off each other to help yourself catch the cars ahead.
Yeah, definitely. This place, we've seen it all week in the other tiers, that once you sort of get out of that DRS train, you sort of end up in no man's land, and no matter how hard you push, how quick you go, you can't account for the power of the DRS around the circuit.
Jeremy Clarkson, I would go and view that change of the lead, but we know it's just a standard DRS overtake. So there's nothing too exciting unless something else happens. Ashtube gets back past Owen, and we're looking at MDJ getting past Reshka into the points then for MDJ. Reshka just outside in that AlphaTauri. He is like, from last season, he is like the setup mastermind behind him and Ghost's team. Beyond a Boa, looking to the inside of Owen, into De La Roja. You don't see many moves into this chicane in online F1 racing, but Beyond a Boa, not afraid to make one, and it is 6th place for the Ferrari.
Yeah, good move, that. Really good, clean move. Made certain and showed that was what he was going to do. As Owen runs wide out of the second Lesmo, and that could drop him now out of the RSO. Merckx out.
What's happened to Merckx? His dot's still running around on the map.
Interesting one. But Owen, running wide out of the second Lesmo, but Schizofree now, he's about to get a bit of a DRS train running behind him with quite a few cars. But the only thing I would say about Schizofree, he's out on the hards at the moment, so this race is going to come to him a little bit later on, as he switches to the softer compound compared to everyone else. He could well start making moves, unless, of course, everyone goes medium to soft.
Yeah, that is the other option they have. And the battle between Bluster and Reshka continues side by side through the first chicane. Reshka just about fending off the Alpine, and here comes Cameron Searle to take advantage. A little bit of traction loss coming through the final part of that turn 2. They're still being side by side, and it looks like Bluster's already used up almost all of his ERS, courtesy of that blinking red light. Cameron Searle down the inside will get Bluster, and just about keeps it behind. Oh, big wheel spin from Cameron Searle, and he's now got the Alpine down the inside. Contact, round goes Cameron Searle.
A bit of an unfortunate incident that. Yeah, it looked like the door was there, but only very briefly. The gap was always kind of going to close on the inside a little bit. Very unfortunate there for both Leicester and Cameron. So, they were in that train behind Schizo, and now they're not. They're a long way back.
I've just seen that Merckx has rejoined, so I don't know whether he's had like a disconnect and the game's retired him. Which would be a bit weird.
That did happen in one of the other tiers, that someone disconnected and it just automatically retired them from the race. Not sure, but that's very unfortunate for Merckx. Obviously, an excellent qualifying session, and it's been all undone by a bad connection.
Yeah, and you get the feeling that all he needed was like one safety car, and he was right back in it for some good points. So, big shame for that. But I mean, the other teams will not complain, because that Aston Martin team looking very strong, as we said at the start. So they'll be kind of they'll be happy with the way it's come about, but I don't think they'll mind only one Aston Martin scoring points in this race.
Yeah, I'm sure they did definitely prefer both of them, but they clearly both have the pace to be up there, and obviously with this being round 1, still plenty of rounds left this season to make up for that disappointment of the retirement there.
Carry on, we're on lap 9 of 27. Ash Tube just 3.5 tenths behind Bjorn de Boer. Meanwhile, Jeremy Clarkson, I think this is going to be yet another change for the lead. I would keep count, but almost every lap down this main straight, you're going to get a change for the lead until at least the pit stops, and Jeremy Clarkson easily makes his way through. 5.3 the gap now between second and third. Ash Tube not close enough, is he, to make a move on Bjorn? So interesting that the Ferrari there has got a little bit of top end in his setup. And obviously we know Martin's not going to attack too much against Schizo. They're going to work together, being the Haas team. I think they've been doing it all race long, just swapping positions. As I say, a bit of a slingshot buddy between the two Haases.
Yeah, I have to say, Jeremy and Emir are doing a fantastic job of working together. Not teammates, but they're not fighting. There's no defending going on when the guy behind's making a move. They're just letting him pass, slotting back behind him, do it all again the next lap. And as you say, just from that one little bit of working together, that 5.7 second gap now back to Ghost, it just sets you up for the rest of the race from this position.
Blue Sky then on board with Ash Tube, still looking at the back of Bjorn de Boer. Henrik Andersson is now got onto the back of Reshka. 5 tenths of a second there, so we'll keep an eye on that, see what happens. And it looks like as Emma retakes the lead once again, looks like MDJ has got onto the back of the two Haases as well. He's now within DRS of the Haas team. There goes Martin, so that would defend from MDJ, and I think Henrik.
Oh, that's not fast enough retirement for Skeet so free. He's just gone straight into the back of his teammate under braking, lost it to the left, hit the wall, and that's our first safety car of the evening.
Yeah, so we have our first safety car of season 17 Tier 1, and hang on, that's a Cameron Searle in the background spinning on his own accord. That's very unfortunate that we've caught that in the background just as the safety car comes out.
Rick and Mario in the pits, so obviously it won't affect much because I think everyone for this current lap under safety car will have a delta, so he won't really gain anything from this pit stop. as such. I wonder if Cameron just suddenly noticed his delta and just anchored on the brakes and started downshifting like mad or something.
Well, it is a feature in this year's game that if you don't have ABS on, which a lot of these drivers won't do, courtesy of being no assist tier 1 last season, that if you do come down the box too quickly, you can lock the rears up. And I do wonder if that's just what's just happened to Cameron there. As you say, possibly because of the delta suddenly coming into effect.
So Emir in the pits, Jeremy in the pits, Ghost in the pits, Stefan in the pits, Bjorn in the pits. Everyone's in the pits. Interesting as well, I don't think there's any teammates close enough to each other to get in each other's way. Maybe Bjorn and Jeremy, possibly, but I think they'll be clear of each other just about.
Very minimal delay there for Bjorn de Boer. Henrik Anderson picks up our first penalty of the season, 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane.
Is Henrik able to serve that under safety car? Interestingly,
I believe you can if you come back in.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if Henrik switched on enough to do that and get rid of it. But everyone going to hards. Henrik's gone to mediums. Cam's still to softs. So I don't think they're going to do 15 laps. But
I wonder if he's thinking maybe the safety car is going to be out for another 2 or 3 laps here. Because obviously the safety car hasn't really moved from its spot because it's had to pick up the leader. So I wonder if Cameron was thinking that it might come into a window where it might potentially work for him. The biggest shame about Schizo there is that he was obviously on the hards, and obviously if he was still in this race, this would have been perfect for him because obviously Henrik has gone from hards to mediums. Which was obviously what Schizo was going to do. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now, because that was a big gap that the top 2 had.
Yeah, definitely, and it just brings everyone else back into it again now. It's like a complete race resetting, and the top 9 are all on the same compound now. So, yeah, this does open it back up. You'd have to think, with the level of working together that Emir and Jeremy had, that if they can do that again, then they'll open up a similar gap again. But yeah, Ghost will be looking at this as a second chance, and Stefan Ram's obviously just there or thereabouts as well. But yeah, really strange off for Skeet. So like I say, he just clipped the rear right with his front left, and the car just kind of just exited stage left pretty much, and it wasn't a particularly hard hit into the wall, but it was enough just to damage it. And Cameron still comes into the pits and picks up a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, I wonder if that... interesting that Henrik's also come back in as well. Henrik to come back in to serve his 5-second penalty. Cameron's gone back out on another set of softs.
Yeah, I can only assume the previous set of softs were not shiny enough, so he's just gone for a shinier pair. Interesting strategic. Maybe he's having trouble with his pit crew, and they're just not quite getting what he's asking for. But yeah, a little bit of a strange decision there. Maybe he's just thinking an extra lap of freshness with the new set of softs, perhaps.
I mean, you have to think that if the safety car stays out another lap, he'll come back in to serve that 5-second penalty.
Yeah, you'll definitely want to get rid of that. I would probably suggest, I don't know, looking at the cars that are straggling behind at the moment, I don't think he's going to get that extra lap, though. I think they're going to go at the end of this lap. I could be wrong, but I think they'll all catch up pretty quick here.
All depends what Bernd Mailander gets told in his over his radio. I mean, normally it'll be probably just after Ascari on the games that you get told that the safety car is coming in. It's normally the second sector line, so just before Ascari would be the normal place for safety cars to be brought in. I suggest...
The lights are very much still on the safety car. I think we are going for another lap. So yeah, Cameron here, a suggestion in the chat that Cameron might now come in and put some mediums on, just so that they're super fresh for the rest of the race.
Wouldn't be a bad call. Here's Cameron. So I can see Cameron sort of keeping to the right, into the pits as suspected. This time he makes sure he gets stopped. Henrik Anderson also back in the pits. I wonder if that's because he wants to go on to a set of softs now, because we're going to have, what, 13 laps of racing remaining? It's mediums for the McLaren, softs for the Mercedes.
Yeah, this is a very mixed bag, isn't it, this? And, yeah, obviously Henrik and Cameron deciding who needs to one-stop. The three-stop strategy is the way forward these days.
Yeah, it's fair to say the tyre compound is not quite as mixed as Tier 2 from Austria last season. When we had all sorts of wet and dry compounds together, but it's good to see all three compounds out on the circuit.
Yeah, it definitely mixes up. There's nearly a little bit of carnage there behind the safety car. MDJ slightly slow to the right, and Blester nearly went into the back of Reshka, but yeah, all's good, no damage, but it was a bit closer than they probably really wanted to.
Now the question here is, will Henrik and Cameron get on the back of this train? Because the safety car is in this lap. So
when will Emir go, do you think? Do you think early, late? He's not really going to go too early, because obviously the safety car needs to be in, otherwise I don't know whether you get the throttle restriction on this quite like you did on the last game. I haven't experienced it yet myself, but yeah, he'll want to make sure the safety car's well out of the way. But I would hazard to guess it'll go before Parabolica.
Question is, if he does that, will he have enough time? Looks like we're going racing, not quite now.
Nope. No.
Now, just after, midway through, making sure the safety car's in the pits. So Emir gets us going once again, and he's pulled a nice little gap, 6/10 to his friend and former teammate Jeremy Clarkson. And it looks like we're going to have a little bit of battling behind. Stefan Ranz defending from as Bjorn de Boer goes round the outside of Ash Tube. That's a lovely move from the Ferrari, if he can make that one stick. Although it looks like Ash Tube's going to keep it alongside. You've also got Ricky Maru and Martin. Oh, bit of contact through Curva Grande. That could have been a huge accident, but Owen taking initiative here down the inside of Ash Tube for 6th place. It just looked like Bjorn was trying to close the gap, trying to get in front of the Red Bull. He just wasn't quite clear enough.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that. I was looking slightly back through the grid, but it was an excellent move by Bjorn into turn 1 to get that move done, and it was just all about the traction then out of turn 2 there, just to get down to the next chicane. But yeah, I just didn't quite catch the little moment that you were commentating on there.
Reshka has got 3 cars. He's got an Alpine and 2 Mercedes, who are absolutely gunning for his 9th position right now. Here comes Blester to the left. It looks like Henrik trying to go to the right. Can't quite make it 3 wide. And Reshka, a little bit of a spike there from Blester as he suddenly teleports to the outside of Reshka on our screen. Emir picks up the fastest lap of the race for now. But Blester gets past Reshka, but Reshka coming back at him down the main straight. Here comes Henrik Anderson. Was 3 wide. Blester just behind Reshka, and 2 places for the Mercedes on that soft tyre.
Oh, sorry, Ricky's been hit round again. I didn't see by who.
Looked like the McLaren of Cameron Sorrell. I'll check back with the stream on that. Not ideal, as Martin was on the grass then. And yes, it was the McLaren of Cameron Sorrell who tagged the rear of Ricky Maru into turn 1. But so far, it's Emir in control with a 9/10 of a second gap nearly, as everyone else just slightly now settles into position. Owen, 6th place, so he only got 3/10 over Ash Tube, but he'll be hoping to stick within DRS of Bjorn de Boer, because Bjorn does not have DRS at current pace. And next lap, DRS gets activated as Henrik past MDJ, but you have to feel that he's going to be a little bit vulnerable come the end of this race on those soft tyres.
Definitely, he has to make it count now while he has the grip. But yeah, it looks like at the front, Emir now bridging the 1 second gap back to Jeremy. Ghost another 1.5 back. Stefan runs another 1.5 back from that. So we're looking now very much like similar to sort of before the safety car, and now looking at a bit of a trend behind Bjorn. Now the DRS is enabled.
Yeah, Ashtube looking to go elsewhere. Henrik Anderson looking to the inside. Gets very hard on the brakes to make sure he doesn't make contact. Just a little bit too far behind to make that, but I think Ashtube was a little bit wary of that because he's lost a bit of time to Owen. And here comes Henrik. Looking to the outside. We'll get the move done before the De La Roche chicane. Almost into the back of Owen and cuts across. That's not going to be very nice on the underside of the car. He's going to lose a place to MDJ for the calls.
Yeah, and it was weird because the Red Bull had pretty much let him past. He wasn't even trying to defend that, and I think Henrik just slightly caught out maybe by the fact that the other cars don't quite have the same grip around him and had to bail out. But fair play to Henrik. He could have carried on and hit the back of the car in front, but he didn't. He chose to avoid incident and just get across the chicane.
On board with Owen, and Bjorn de Boer has already used his ERS. He's got a flashing red light, which in F1 means I've not got a lot of electrical energy left. And Owen pouncing already before the DRS, picks up the DRS and now should extend that gap towards turn 1. The question is, will Ashtube have a look?
So Henrik making his way back past MDJ. Yeah, Ashtube just tuned to sit. I don't think it's going to be long before Henrik gets back on the tail of this group again.
Oh, we've got a spin of Cameron Searle has gone round now at turn 1. I don't know if there was contact, don't know if that was self-inflicted. Just caught out at the bottom of the screen as the McLaren went round. But it's a race to forget, really, for Cameron Searle.
Yeah, this is not going to list in his best moments of all time, that's for sure. Very disappointing so far. Still, 9 laps to go after this one. You just never know. Another safety car could change it all again. So, just got to keep plugging away. Never give up. Really is the way to approach these races.
Exactly, and this is only round 1 of 15. As Ricky Maru gets past Reshko with some DRS up towards Ascari. It is round 1 of 15, so still a very long way to go yet in this championship.
Absolutely. Owen's now all over the back of Stefan Ranz, and we have one hell of a train now forming behind Stefan. I don't think Owen would have ever expected to be in this position this season, but this is excellent work from him.
Here comes Owen to the inside. Ashtube looking to the inside potentially of Bjorn de Boer. Can't quite make that move. And this is now the problem for Henrik, because he's now, even though he's got this grip as Bjorn de Boer looking to the outside of Stefan, can't quite get that one sorted. But whilst Henrik's got this grip advantage, although that grip advantage is very quickly now fading away, this massive DRS train is very much not helpful for him.
No, absolutely. It's going to be quite hard to get past people now. I'm unsure of his ERS situation, and I'm not going to look just in case people are listening. But he's, as you say, just having this. He could do with everyone being a second behind the car in front, really, right now, just so he can play through the field that way. But
down the inside, though, Henrik on Ashtube into Ascari, side by side, through the second part, through the flick left, still side by side, nearly contact. Great driving from the pair to keep it clean. Ashtube says, no, you're not going to go around me there. You're going to have to try again on another corner.
The problem with this fight, Ashtube's still just within DRS of Bjorn. It's very, very close, though. I think he's going to be under attack here again from Henrik. Very fast in a straight line.
Very quick, and lots of them using their ERS very early here in this almost second phase of the race after the safety car. But Henrik does finally get past Ashtube, and his next target will be Bjorn de Boer. Now the question is, can Owen bridge that gap to Stefan to a second? He's kind of hovering around half a second to 6/10, just under half a second. The question is, can he bridge it? And because I think if Owen can bridge this gap, he will pull away from Stefan. I think he is slightly quicker.
Yeah, I think I've got a feeling Owen might be sort of creeping up very steadily on the back of Ghost as well. So Owen is looking very, very racy on these hard tyres. But yeah, he could do with getting that 1 second to Stefan just to ease the pressure from behind, so he can concentrate purely on catching Ghost.
Astube was very close to the back of Henrik, and Henrik is not really making any gains into the Ferrari of Bjorn de Boer, so I'm going to say that the advantage he had on those tyres is now almost gone from a traction standpoint. Meanwhile, Stefan Ranz now right on the back of the McLaren. Moves to the side. Here comes Bjorn de Boer as well. He's going to make it 3 wide down the main straight. He's going to try and go side by side with Stefan. He's going to make 2 places as he goes into turn number 1. And Bjorn de Boer. Oh, and here comes Owen back round the outside of turn 2 as Stefan. That is fantastic to watch. Very opportunistic from the McLaren after Stefan had to keep wide for Bjorn de Boer on the inside.
Yeah, that was very, very good from Owen there. As you say, Stefan just found himself in a bit of an awkward position after that move from Bjorn, and yeah, Owen went for it, and here comes Henrik on Stefan. Down the inside of
Lesmo 1, not a lot Stefan can do, and I think Astube might have a look for Lesmo 2. Yes, he does. And Stefan Ranz is found himself going from 4th in this race. He's now down to 8th. Make that 9th as MDJ now goes past.
Yeah, that's just how close these guys are.
Ricky Maru spun out of Lesmo 2, but he's back going again. Cameron Searle has also overtaken Reshka in the process.
Owen right behind Bjorn, but not wanting to make the overtake because of the DRS line coming up. So just sitting behind because he knows he doesn't want to do that. He'll get overtaken again on the straight. But yeah, Owen will now have the DRS. He almost doesn't need it, but yeah, this will be an easy overtake.
Easy it is. Here comes Henrik Andersen to the inside of Bjorn de Boer. Can he keep around the outside? Bit of contact. And MDJ looking to take advantage of the situation after he got past Astube. He's now looking to the outside of Henrik, but Henrik just about keeps it in front of that Williams. And
Henrik's
look at that.
car is looking insane in a straight line.
He's rocket powered by the looks of it as he goes down the inside of Bjorn de Boer. And Bjorn loses another place to MDJ, another place to Astube.
Oh, contact. Oh, that's an excellent save from Astube. Just a slight bit of a front to rear wheel contact there from Bjorn, but managed to hold the slide and they were crack on.
But this is the biggest problem now for these guys. You have one mistake, one battle. Stefan now gets overtaken by Blester. He's now at the back of the train. But you make one little battle, one little mistake, and you lose. You don't just lose one place here. You're losing 3 or 4. Owen, though, has an 0.8 of a second gap to Henrik. I think he was hoping with all that battling that it would bridge to a second, as Blester now gets down the outside of Bjorn de Boer, and he'll make that stick because he can have more throttle on around the outside of Parabolica.
Yeah, as you say, it's so tight. Just that one little run wide, and you can't get back in. You can't get back into where you should be. And it's just a bit like watching a touring car race at the moment, to be honest, between these guys. It's fantastic for the first race of the season to be racing this cleanly.
That was close between Blester and Ash. Through Curva Grande, Blester looking to the inside. I think also Henrik was looking at Owen but couldn't quite do it. Blester, yep. Oh, he might get on the exit of the De La Roja though. Great run, great traction. Through Lesmo 2 Lesmo 1 once again, very tight, close, but all clean. And Astube still sticking it around the outside. He's just off circuit, almost loses the car. I think he has lost the car after a touch of contact with Blester. And safety car. That's brought out the safety car.
A big surprise. He hit the front. He did hit the wall and lost his front wing, but that was all. There was no other damage other than the front wing. So yeah, surprised at the safety car call there, but there we are. And yeah, Henrik got down the inside of Owen as well there through Lesmo, so he's made his way up. So Emir in the pits at this
top
point
3 in
now. At this point, it'll be interesting to see what the likes of Henrik do.
Henrik in the pits. Owen has dived in the pits. I thought he was going to stay.
Oh, he spun. He spun coming into the pits.
I think that was a little bit silly, really, from Owen. He kind of dived into the pits at the last moment, and I think he's probably locked the rears up, courtesy of downshifting too hard.
The cam sort of stayed out, which I think is to be honest, if I was around the 5th, 6th, 7th area, I think I'd have stayed out just for pure track position, really, to be honest. Especially bearing in mind, probably by the end of the safety car, it's just going to be a 2-lap dash.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Owen, I'd have stayed out. Seeing that the four ahead of you have gone into the pits, I think I'd have probably stayed out to try and claim that sort of track position. But going back to Ashtube, it was a bit unfortunate because he ran a little bit wide being side by side with Blester, and it looked like the car got loose. He managed to save it, but he just clipped the Alpine, which was enough to then transition the weight back across him and unfortunately into the wall. We know it's a bit easier to save the car on this game, but obviously if you still got that sort of weight transition and you clip someone, that's still going to spin your car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, as you say, it's a lot easier to save the car, but there's certain circumstances where you're just not going to be able to save the car. So, yeah, unfortunate, and also where it was as well, you know, up against that curbing on the outside, the car's going to be all unbalanced over that as it is, let alone tapping another car at the same time. So, yeah, massively unfortunate for Ashtube. He's had a great showing on this first race of the season, and I'm sure he'll be very, very disappointed to be back down in 12th now.
And look how many positions that's cost Owen, that one mistake into the pit. He would have been 6th behind Henrik. He's now 10th.
Yeah, and you know, if he'd have stayed out, he'd be leading this race right now. And I appreciate he would have been on worse tyres, but he would probably have not been overtaken by that many cars on the remaining 2 laps, because it looks like it's just going to be a 2-lap dash.
It looks like it. It's like the old, I say the old school, it's like the IndyCar and NASCAR, isn't it? We're going to have a green-white checkered, as they say in the States.
Yeah, a hell of a lifeline this for Cam Searle, who's done exactly the right thing. I think, you know, he's in 3rd. He would have been, you know, 13th. Yeah, absolutely done the right thing to stay out and maximise the points. You know, he's not going to be able to fight with Emir and Jeremy, not on the mediums. But the thing is, there's going to be no DRS now for the remaining 2 laps. So as long as he can be sensible to the DRS, he's got half a chance of getting a podium out of this. Which, you know, 5 minutes ago he was having an absolute nightmare. So you know, as I said before, just keep plugging away, because you just never really know.
Absolutely. Scotty saying Owen's fuming. Yep, I'm not surprised at that. Also saying that Cameron and Owen deciding to swap places. What great teammates.
I'm not sure that's what Owen had in mind when it happened. I'll wait for the drivers' room chat for that one to see exactly whether or not that was the case. Yeah, just a bit too fast, too furious there, I think, for Owen into the pit lane.
What I am surprised by, though, is Reshka didn't come back into the pits, safety car in his lap, because he's picked up a 5-second penalty, I'm thinking, for speeding in the pit lane. I'm surprised that he didn't come back. He didn't come in to serve it, because now he's got no chance of making up any positions in this race already, because only 2 laps, you're not going to pull 5 seconds unless they spin or crash.
Yeah, as you say, barring any incidents, he's pretty much just consigned himself to 14th, really, hasn't he? So, but anyway, yeah, about to go green again.
So, Emir, when does he go? Let's go on board with him this time so we can actually see when he goes. Still waiting. He's past the point he went last time. He's going to go as late as he dares. There he goes now. And I must admit, that's not as good as a restart as he had before.
Goose has a run on Cameron.
Goes to the outside, and job done almost. Yes, it is for the AlphaTauri. We've got more people side by side. This is like a sprint now. This is where mistakes come. Incidents can happen. Ricky Maru up into 12th place now as we exit through Curva Grande. Owen still in 10th, but he's right on the back of Stefan Rands as we come down towards the De La Rocha chicane. Henrik Anderson now down the inside of Cameron Searle. Cameron Searle has a big slide on the entry to the De La Rocha, and it's going to allow MDJ up the inside of Lesmo 1. Cameron Searle going backwards here. Here comes Blaster to the inside as well for good measure. And Bjorn de Boer putting in his 2 pence worth in this battle. And Owen now behind Cameron. You have to feel that Cameron will give position to Owen. The teammates need to work together here. But it's going to be hard to do with Ashley right on the tail of Owen. So I think they're going to have to do it almost like a genuine overtake. Oh no, there goes Cameron to let him through. They're going to try and block out Parabolica here, I think. Very clever from the McLarens. Ashley does look to the inside and will get there eventually, but that was almost genius driving from the two McLarens there.
Yeah, Cameron unfortunately going back a lot further than I thought we went there off the start, I've got to admit.
Battle for the lead. Jeremy Clarkson side by side with Emir. These two now, the gloves are fully off. This is the last lap. They're not teammates anymore. And Jeremy almost getting the better of the Aston Martin. It looks like Emir is out of VRS. Jeremy Clarkson, his light's not flashing. We've got a yellow flag. MDJ is out of this race. I'm not quite sure how or why. Obviously he's crashed, but Jeremy Clarkson takes the lead of the race here on the last lap through the De La Rocha chicane. Henrik Anderson is currently in third. This battle for the lead is going to rage on. Ghost on the tail of Henrik as well. We'll come back to MDJ after the race. And, I don't know if Bruce knows anything, but we'll find out shortly as Emir looking to the outside. Side by side through the sky. This is fantastic racing for the pair. It's all clean, all good. None of them have really any ERS to play with. Down towards Parabolica. Who's going to be the bravest on the brakes? Who's going to be the bravest on the throttle coming out of the corner? Into Parabolica. Emir's got the inside line, but Jeremy should be able to get on the throttle earlier. It's going to be a fight for the line, but I think Emir's just about done it. Emir Djurakovic wins the Italian Grand Prix from Jeremy Clarkson. Henrik completes the podium. Ghost in fourth. Bjorn de Boer fifth. Blester sixth. Owen in seventh. Ashtube eighth. And they're all far too close to go through the order as they cross the line. But I think I did see Cameron, so unfortunately 11th, just outside the points. It was worth the gamble. It just didn't quite pay off. Blester taking the game's driver of the day. And I, to be honest, I kind of agree coming from the back of the pack.
Yeah, no, he's had a great race there, to be honest. Also a notable one there from Henrik as well. You know, he was looking out of it at one point during the race, I believe, and to come back to get the podium was great work. So, yeah, disappointing for Cameron there. As we said, he did the right thing. You know, he wasn't going to score points anyway, so he had to take the gamble, and unfortunately, just not enough grip left in those mediums. Yeah,
there is the podium. The Aston Martin team incredibly happy with Emir, but that was a bit of a scrap to the end then. Jeremy Clarkson almost able to take the victory. And Bruce, would you like to take us through the results provisional for the Italian Grand Prix?
Absolutely, yeah. So Emir Djurakovic there taking a front row position to a race win. Great stuff there for the first race of the season with Jeremy Clarkson in second. Henrik Anderson now with a great effort, finishing third ahead of Ghost in fourth. Beyond the Ball fifth with Blester in sixth. Owen in seventh with Ashtube eighth. Stefan Rands dropping back towards the end of the race there in ninth, just ahead of SFR Martin, who gets the last points of the race. Cameron Sir 11th, Ricamaru 12th, Reska 13th, and unfortunately MDJ, Schizo and Mert all retiring from the race.
Yeah, it must be said, Merck it must be stressed, Merck did not retire by himself. His AI retired for him, and I'm wondering if that's a feature in this game which is not going to be ideal for those that may have those connection problems. If your AI is just going to immediately retire you, that's not exactly the best way to have it. But I mean, at this point we would normally have some interviews, but the top three were all on PC, so we're not going to get them into our PlayStation chat. I'll just see if they can do a small write-up for us to read out, so we can get something to you guys regarding their races. But I mean, Bruce, your thoughts on the race and any best bits for you?
Yeah, just you know, the teamwork there from the top two there. It basically pretty much won them the race, or you know, got them the first and second. It's a sort of, even though they're not in the same team, just working together on the track, it makes a massive difference. I think one of the things I've got to commend really is most of these guys haven't raced against each other before, and it was an incredibly clean race. I didn't see what happened to MDJ at the end there. Unsure sort of what sort of happened to him, but generally throughout there was a lot of racing room given, a lot of respect, and hopefully it continues for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that sets the tone for Tier 1 this season, we are in for an absolute cracker. Emir Djurkovic saying hands off, the best racing he has ever done. With someone, he felt like he was about to faint. 170 beats per minute, he's saying. Now, I don't know whether that's actually what he's tracked, because I know if you've got some sort of smartwatch, you can track your heartbeat, but apparently he's put 170 BPM, so we'll say that's what his heartbeat was at on his, what they call it, biometrics. I think F2 have show that sort of data, so I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, heart rates being high at the end of that one. I mean, how close was that through Ascari?
Yeah, it's mad, and like you say, to actually go too wide all the way through it is very, very rare. It just, like I say, it just shows you've got to have that trust around, with the people around you, and they clearly have that trust, and that's all you need sometimes to make things like that work. But yeah, I mean, as far as the last couple of laps go for a race, that was pretty mad, and I'll definitely be happy if all the races are that close for the rest of the season.
Yeah, actually, we do have Discord voice chats on PlayStation, but it doesn't. It won't stream the voices from Discord voice chats through the PlayStation onto the stream, unfortunately. So that's why we can't have the interview with the PC players. Jeremy Clarkson saying pretty mediocre quali. Thought he had a tenth or two left on the table. He got a great start to get past Ghost. Mert got unlucky with the lag spike, so that's what happened to Mert then at the start. Had a slight lag spike. Other than that, insane racing with Emir. Couldn't be any closer. He is disappointed not to get him on the line, but an insane race from him. And Henrik Anderson, the third place man, he was pushing hard on the first lap to see if he could create some opportunities on his hard tyres. Unfortunately, he did collide with Owen and spun on the first lap at the first Lesmo, so that's why Henrik was facing the wrong way there on lap 1. After that, turned into a damage control race where he got saved by the safety cars and managed to get onto the podium after being 8 seconds behind everyone on the first lap. He is pretty happy, and I am not surprised.
As I said before, with Henrik, it's that never give up attitude. You've just got to keep going even when things are going horribly wrong, and just perseverance paid off for him today. Getting that podium after being smack bang at the back of the field. It's a testament to just perseverance that he's shown on the race.
Absolutely. But obviously we've heard. Well, we have had some rights from our podiums. So congratulations once again to Emir for the victory, Jeremy for second, and Henrik for third. Fantastic racing. Obviously, thank you to our partners, obviously gridfinder.com, best place to find racing leagues on all sorts of racing games such as ACC, obviously F1. You don't need to go anywhere but IRL, that's for certain, especially after seeing that race. But yeah, go over to Gridfinder to find leagues that suit your needs. It's a fantastic thing to have. And obviously Venturi Graphics, who do all the graphics that you'll see posted around on the socials. And yeah, so that's a great place for logos, banners, anything like that, even liveries for F1. I know Scotty has done some liveries in the past for F1. I think he's already done some for F1 23. But Bruce, next week we have Saudi Arabia. I mean, if Monza's close, Saudi Arabia is basically Monza with walls right next to you.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is a lot less room for error, that's for sure, at Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I'm sure again the DRS zone is massively important, and racing normally always pretty close at IRL in Saudi. So yeah, fingers crossed we get a sort of a repeat of tonight. I think wishing for a wet race is maybe a bit ambitious for Saudi, but yeah, it's hopefully we get the close races that we had tonight as well.
Absolutely. Well, racing isn't done for this week either. Tomorrow we have our RP leagues, and yes, that is leagues plural. We have 2 RP leagues due tomorrow from Monza. The first RP league, they're not really tiered, they're just split so that we still have the basic RP formula of people from different tiers from Equal Performance all in one league. Obviously, the faster drivers getting the slower cars and vice versa. RP1 scheduled to be streamed by Jack TM53 Synopsis tomorrow, and RP2 due to be Sav and Daryl on your comms team, but that might change your comms team there for tomorrow. Both at 8 o'clock, both on the YouTubes, so make sure you join us tomorrow for that one. And obviously, going into next week, we do have our Equal Performance Leagues at Saudi Arabia. Tier 4 will be brought to you by Ewan, and Tier 3 on the Monday as well, brought to you by Official Xerox and JP911. Both those 8 o'clock on Monday, and obviously on Tuesday you have Tier 2, brought to you by Joe Hamster and Nitrogash, well, I think it's Joe Hamster on his own next Tuesday. But from us, that's all the action from tonight. Thank you for everyone for joining and watching this race tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, like the stream and subscribe to the Invictus Racing League YouTube channel so you don't miss a race this season. And after that one, you definitely don't want to miss any more. But join us again next week for more Tier 1 action. But for myself and Bruce, thank you for watching tonight. Goodbye.